Hey everybody, welcome to the training today. So today we're talking about how you can get more money for your business, even in a recession, just by setting your business up correctly with a business credit reporting agency. So by the end of this training, you're going to know how the business credit reporting agencies work, and you're going to know what to do to set up your business correctly with Dun & Bradstreet, with Equifax commercial, with Experian commercial as well. So you're well established to make you more lendable, and also to knock out the first initial steps of building your business credit. So for those that don't know me, my name is Ty Crandall. I'm CEO of Credit Suite. At Credit Suite, this is what we do. We help business owners build credit for your EIN that's not linked to your personal Social Security number. We also help you get financing, and we also help you improve your fundability to become more lendable. So if you want more information on building your business credit, grab our free guide here at the bottom, creditsuite.com/live-checklist. That's creditsuite.com/live-checklist. And that'll give you access to our step-by-step checklist on building your business credit. So obviously a lot going on right now. And what's happening right now is that we're seeing a lot of financial institutions kind of close up when it comes to funding. Bottom line, right now, it's harder to get money than it typically is. And that's normal in a recession. When we have a recession like this, we see the big banks tighten up. They're government insured. They have to be very conservative with their risk. So that's pretty expected. We're also seeing a lot of fintech lenders, a lot of online lenders really tighten up or close their doors altogether. And that's because a large part of fintech or online lenders dealt with revenue lending based type product. So as we saw, a lot of businesses across the United States, millions, if not tens of millions, actually stop revenue or reduce revenue. A lot of those lenders aren't lending. So what happens now is we're in this kind of environment where it's harder to get loans, it's harder to get credit lines than what we've seen in the past. But luckily, business credit really isn't in that bucket. What we've seen with business credit is it's still readily available. So this is very important for you, especially in any kind of recession or challenged economy, because even when that market tightens up, as you probably saw in the beginning of COVID-19, the government pours a lot of money still into the credit space. And so we're still seeing money flow freely. So if you're having a hard time getting money right now, this is where you want to be. Business credit's the way to get you where you need to be. And we're going to talk about today getting set up with the initial steps, especially with the reporting agencies, okay? So again, business funding, very important. Harder to get funding when things get tight. And this is one of the reasons that business credit becomes so important. So let's start from the very beginning here, right? There's a few steps you have to take before you get set up with the reporting agencies, because when you go to get set up, like there's information they need from you that you won't have available unless you take some initial steps first. So the first step, you have to select the right entity that you want with your actual Secretary of State. Now, we find that it's better to set up a corporation, or even if you set up an LLC, because those are looked at more favorably by lenders and credit issuers, okay? Plus, it reduces your personal liability in a business. Now, I'm not an attorney. It's not legal advice. I'm not an accountant either. But it's worth talking to your accountant, because your accountant's also going to guide you on the best entity that they think is best. So corporations, by far, give you more credibility than any other kind of entity type. If you could choose a corporation, do it. You probably, if you're a smaller business, meaning under $10 million, you want to stay away from C corporations, because a C corp, you have to file taxes kind of twice. The business gets taxed, then you get paid, and then you get taxed. So it's like double taxation, usually needed as your biggest business gets way bigger, 8 figures, 9 figures or higher. Okay, but an S corporation, great way to go, even if you're just getting started. And again, reduces your liability. Even a limited liability company, an LLC, is better than a lot of other entity types. What you want to stay away from is you want to stay away from sole proprietors, okay? This is where you can really get yourself into issues, and here's why. First of all, with a sole proprietorship, you are the business. You're one and the same. So if you're building business credit to get away from personal liability, to get away from personal guarantees, that's really hard to do when you are the business. So what happens, and I'm not an attorney, again, not legal advice, but if somebody sues a sole proprietorship, they're suing you as well. You and the business are one and the same. So you have significantly greater liability if you're a sole proprietor than if you're not. Okay, and the other problem is you have a way greater chance of getting audited. Like, the stats on this are insane. A corporation has a 1 in 50% chance of getting audited. A sole prop has a 1 in 7 chance of getting audited. I don't even know the math on that, but it's like 10 times more likely that you're going to get audited if you choose a sole proprietor. So like, there's nothing good here. With sole proprietorships, the reality is your name is often the business name. So then you're putting your name out there as your business name. Somebody sues the business, you get sued. You have a much greater chance of getting audited. So why do people do it? Well, in some states like California, it's just way cheaper to get set up that way versus pay $600 to set up another entity type. But if you can get it done and you have a choice, set up one of these other entities, an LLC, corporation, preferably even a partnership. Anything's better than that sole proprietor. And Steven says, hey, from YouTube. Queen, hey, also from YouTube. And Karen, hello, everyone from YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. So you're going to visit your Secretary of State's website to do this. You're going to search for the name you want to make sure it's not already taken. Let's talk about this. It is possible to have your company name used 50 times in this country. And here's why. You can use a name for a business that's already taken, but you can only have one name in a state. Okay, so if we're setting up, for example, ABC Plumbing, well, I can have ABC Plumbing in Florida if it's available in Florida. But again, that still means somebody in Connecticut can open ABC Plumbing. Somebody in Texas can open ABC Plumbing. So the same business name can be used in every state, but can only be used once. So you want to do a name search to make sure that name is even available. Then you want to follow the steps in that Secretary of State to set up a for-profit or nonprofit company, whichever is you're choosing. And fees vary by state. In Florida, it's $70. In California, it's $600. That's why the fees to set up a business vary wildly based on where you actually are. Okay, so some things to keep in mind. But usually it takes 10, 15 minutes to do this with your Secretary of State. And again, you really even want to do some preliminary research to see if that is in a high-risk industry. Avoid names that put you in high-risk industries. And one other piece of advice on this, make sure your website's available. Okay, I owned a company called Elite Credit. I didn't own EliteCredit.com. And as my credit company got bigger, it became a huge liability to the company and my ability to sell it, which is what I ended up doing because I didn't own the website EliteCredit.com. So I highly recommend before you choose a business name, make sure that businessname.com name is available. It's going to be way easier for you and more credible for you because when it comes to the other steps here, having your website be your businessname.com, man, that gives you tons of credibility with lenders and credit issuers versus if that's not the case. Next, you want to go to the IRS website and you want to get your EIN number. Believe it or not, you don't need an EIN number to run a business. A lot of us don't know that. Okay, sole proprietorships don't need an EIN to run a business. So you can have a business without an EIN. But the reality is this is what gives you legitimacy. And it's 100% free. Now, don't get me wrong. There's all kinds of websites that you'll go to that make it look like it's the IRS.gov, and they're not. You got to be careful there. Only go to IRS.gov. It's completely free. But again, it makes you look a lot more credible. And if you're ever going to build business credit for your EIN that's not linked to your social, well, having an EIN is obviously paramount to being able to build a credit profile for that EIN. Some people think an EIN is linked to a DUNS number or business credit's linked to a DUNS number, not an EIN. That's not the case. We will talk about DUNS numbers a little bit later, and I'll tell you how to get one for free, but you still need an EIN if you want to build business credit without the personal liability. So now we set up the basics. Now, I will tell you personally, there's the third step I take. I set up my business bank account. Okay, having a bank reference is needed as you build business credit. They're oftentimes going to ask for a bank reference. And a lot of lenders will even look at the date you establish your bank account to season your business to really see when your business opened. So I do the three of those in one, and I did an experiment once, and in less than 1 hour, I was able to go online, set up my entity, get my EIN, and go to my bank and set up a business bank account. So that's my third step. It's not necessary for business credit building, but some sources will ask you for a bank reference. So I always make those my 3 steps. Find my entity name, get my entity set up. Hardest part, because you have to think of an entity name, make sure it's available, make sure the website's available, etc. Okay, then I get my EIN, then I set up my bank account, then I move on to these next steps. So there's 3 major reporting agencies in the United States for commercial credit. Dun & Bradstreet's the biggest, 230 million records on file. Experian's the second biggest with a little over 20 million records on file. It gives you an idea of the massive discrepancy here between sizes of commercial reporting agencies. So D&B, 230 million records, Experian, 20 million. And Equifax is a small fraction of that. Okay, now there is a fourth one called Credit Safe, very popular in the UK and becoming popular in the United States. they should be on your radar. But for the purpose of this webinar training today, we're just going to dive into the three majors. So how do you start a business credit reporting agency? Well, typically you start with what are called trade vendors. These are where you get credit with places like Uline, Quill, Granger, that they issue you credit you can use for their products and services. They report that credit to the business credit reporting agencies. We're not going to decode this whole thing today. Plenty of training on YouTube, on Facebook on that topic, but you need to be careful because 97% of trade vendors don't report. So you got to get credit with vendors that do report, and you got to get credit with vendors who will give you credit even if you're just newer into business or if you don't have an established business credit profile already. Now, if you have good personal credit or a guarantor, well, then you can also use a program called the Credit Line Hybrid to start building initial business credit. You have three ways to build initial business credit. We're going to talk about the third one today. I don't talk about it a lot, but we will. The other two are getting vendors, not based on credit, no guarantee, simple thing any business can do. If you have an entity, you can do it. Okay, other requires good personal credit from you or a guarantor, 680 FICO, but heck of a shortcut if you can qualify, because you get up to $150,000 in credit lines. You get 5 to 8 credit lines. So imagine starting to build a business credit profile with $10,000 limit accounts. What happens is the minute these $10,000, $20,000 limit accounts hit your commercial credit reports, your ability to get retail store credit, fleet credit, everything else with higher limits is substantially increased. So this is a heck of a shortcut if you have good credit or a guarantor. 0% rates for up to 18 months, no doc business financing, get approved even as a startup, get approved as a nonprofit, take the cash out of these credit lines. You can go to creditsuite.com/get funding to get approved. All you need is a 680 FICO or a guarantor that has one. Two of the main ways to establish initial business credit. I don't care what you do or how you do it. Here's the goal. We need to get 5 accounts on those business credit reports initially. And every one of them will give you scores based on different amount of accounts reported. We're going to decode that today. But you really need 5 accounts, whether you use Credit Line Hybrid or you use the vendor account route, doesn't matter. It's the goal here is to get a handful of initial accounts. So let's get set up with Experian. Well, Experian is used by many credit issuers to determine if you should be approved for a credit card and how much you should be approved for. Let me tell you some interesting history here. So Dun & Bradstreet, biggest business credit reporting agency, a lot of people relied on them. Then they rolled out a product called Credit Builder. And to be honest with you, it really ticked off a lot of credit issuers because they got in the business of helping people, I hate to say this word, but manipulate their credit report. D&B gave them the ability to just add random crap to their D&B credit report. So a lot of credit issuers really stopped relying on D&B. They didn't feel D&B was as accurate. Now they defaulted to Experian. So I just gave you a very important tip. Credit reporting, when it comes to business credit cards, credit card issuers use Experian as their primary bureau. That's why Experian is so important. If you want high limit commercial credit cards, especially without a personal guarantee or credit check, Experian's the most important of the 3 reporting agencies because they're the one primarily used by credit card issuers. Now, you can get started by getting set up in their BizVerify system. See if Experian has information about you now. It's the very first step, and here's why. You could have a report with Experian and not even know it. Experian will populate a credit report for you even if you have no credit that's on your credit report. We'll talk about that in a minute. So you've got to first do a free check just to even see if Experian knows you exist. You can go to creditsuite.com/reports to do it, or you can go to smartbusinessreports.com to do it with Experian. I don't care. I just created creditsuite.com/reports as a shortcut for you to check your DUNS, check your Experian reports. You used to be able to check Equifax. You can't anymore. We'll talk about that in a minute. But if you hear creditsuite.com/reports, free check, click Experian, run your business, and see if they're set up now. If you are set up, then what's going to happen is it's going to show that you have trade lines. Okay, so let me actually, we got some time in this webinar, so I'm going to show you how to do this right now if you don't mind. So if we go to creditsuite.com/reports, let me show you what I'm talking about here. So what we're going to do here is just a free search of Experian just to see if we're set up with them. And they put something else on my page here. So this is, oh wait, here it is right here, Experian. Okay, Experian, here we go. So we click on the Experian logo, as you can see, super simple. Now here's what we want to do here. We just want to enter our name and we just want to enter our state. We don't want to enter our city because we want to see how much information they have about us. I'm going to select my company. Important tip here. See how the first thing they ask me is if I want a credit report from my company or somebody else's? Your credit report is public information in the business world. Anybody that wants it can get it. I can pull it right now, okay? So you need to control your business credit report because it controls your credibility, not with lenders, not just with credit issuers, not just with suppliers, but with prospects, clients, investors, with everybody. Very important thing to know. Now I'm going to start my search. Now, one of three results will happen here. One, no result will come up. Two, they will come in and we will actually find our company here and they have our exact address. So notice I only entered the company name and state, but notice they came back and gave me my exact address. This tells me Experian knows my business exists. Now, the third result is that my company name and address come up and I have an indicator that says I have trade lines reporting. That means not only do I have a credit report, but I have trade lines on that credit report. If something pulls up for you here, you need to access your business credit reports, and we'll talk about that in a minute. If nothing shows up in your search for your company, no need to get your business credit reports with Experian. You know they don't know you exist. But if anything shows up, even without trade lines, you still need to do this check to see what's on your actual credit report. We'll talk about that later. So your Experian credit reports contain identifying information, payment information, public record information, inquiries, company background information, business credit scores, multiple credit scores will be on there depending on where you pull some of the many things that are on your Experian report. So if your initial search does pull up your information, you need to get credit monitoring, even if there's no trade lines. If nothing pulls up, we don't really care. But the bottom line is, if something pulls up, even if there's no trades, we got to pull the report because we could be issued a failing score even if we have no credit. Experian says this about that. Experian requires minimum information to generate a score. If a business doesn't meet these requirements, a score is not generated. Minimum information is at least one trade line and or one demographic element is what Experian says. These are, by means of demographic elements, such as years on file, SIC code, and business size. So let's talk about this. What Experian is saying is this: we will create a credit report for you based one of two ways. One, you have at least one trade line reporting to Experian. Now we know if you're not set up, it only takes one account to get set up with Experian. But they also say we will also create a report if we have one demographic element, also referred to as firmographic information from the bureaus. And then they clarify, if we know your SIC, this is your industry code, or your business size, or how many years your business has been open. All of that information comes from your Secretary of State. So when you file an annual report for your business, the bureaus like Experian get that data from actual Secretary of State, and whammo, your credit report is created. So this oftentimes happens if you apply for a loan, if you apply for a credit card, if you set up with Secretary of State and file annual reports, all that information gets back to the bureaus. Okay, then they create a credit profile for you because now they know you exist. Remember, the credit bureaus, consumer and commercial's entire job is to gather data and sell it. It's what they do. Never forget that. Credit reporting agencies get information and they sell the information. Now they sell it for different purposes. They sell it to credit issuers and lenders to better assess risk. They sell it to companies that want marketing information. Okay, D&B has a great service for that where they actually sell all this data for you to use for marketing purposes. They sell it for all different reasons. But at their heart, their job is to gather data and sell data. So when they get data from the banks that you applied for a credit card or the bank or the Secretary of State, then what they do is they populate this credit report because now they have one more business on record, and that one more business helps them sell their services, right? That's what the whole thing is about. That's why they're creating a credit report profile for you, even if you did nothing, just because they know you exist. Here's the problem with this, is that Experian will give you a failing credit score if they know your business exists, even if you have no trade lines on the credit report. They'll almost always give you a 27 to 29 score, even if you have absolutely no information on your business credit reports. I'm going to show you a real business credit report so you can see exactly what I mean here. So what happens, and this is insane, in the commercial world, they will give us failing credit scores even if we have zero credit. Here's an example. So when I pull a commercial credit report and I see this 28 score for IntelliScore, Experian's main credit score, and then when I see 1,000 credit limit recommendation, I know 100% of the time this person has no credit on their credit profile. Here, I'll show you. If I scroll to the bottom, there's zero credit on this report. There's nothing. I'm at the bottom. There's no credit. It's all zeros. There's no credit profile. So why am I given a failing score? Simple. They don't like your industry. Here, I'll show you. Here it's even saying that lack of trades is why the score is low, but also risk associated with business type, i.e., I don't like your industry. Risk associated with industry sector, i.e., I don't like your industry. Risk associated with company's industry, okay? Clear indicators they don't like the industry, and that's why they gave them a failing score. Wow, this person must be in a really high-risk industry. Oh, they're in fine arts school. They're a dance studio, and they're getting a failing score for being a dance studio or being in the fine arts schools NAICS code. So again, you think you're in a high-risk industry or not. Fine arts school apparently is high risk per Experian. So the bottom line is, if they know you exist and you have no credit, this is what happens. They create this credit report that's a failing score. Even worse, your financial stability score is about as high of risk as you can get. And here's what's crazy. If you tuned in last week, you learned that this score literally depicts your risk of filing bankruptcy and closing your doors. So your risk of filing bankruptcy is through the roof high, even when you have no credit with Experian. Shocking, right? Yeah, I know. That's why you need to pull your Experian report if anything pops up, because if you don't do this, you could be issued a failing score. Now, you can go to creditsuite.com/monitoring to get credit monitoring with D&B, Equifax, and Experian. I'm not trying to peddle you credit monitoring on this. I'm just telling you, if you go to Experian, D&B, and Equifax directly, it's $250 a month for your credit reports. creditsuite.com/monitoring, $24 for all three. Okay, we use NAV integration, and we're even cheaper than NAV. NAV even let us underprice them as well. So it's the cheapest place to get credit reports, creditsuite.com/monitoring. If anything shows up showing that they know you exist, you need to take this step. Now, Jean Pierre says, will you guys ever be able to do a webinar on National Association of Credit Management, or are they not important? I'll actually take a picture of this and I'll send that to my content team as an actual suggestion. Guys, we always love your suggestions for ideas for content. Okay. And William says, can you use the hybrid program for 2 businesses with a guarantor? You absolutely can. Yes. Okay. So getting set up with Experian, increasing your scores. It only takes one account to change that though. And it can take you from bad score to good score. And the great news is it only takes about 30 to 90 days for that one account to get reported. Here, I'll show you. I'll show you exactly how this works, because the commercial credit system is so easy to manipulate, and I mean that in a legal way. Okay, I don't mean shelf corps and CPN numbers and all that bogus crap. We're going to talk this week about how you don't want to do the bogus crap, but it is legally able to manipulate in your favor if you just understand how this system works. So this is what I want to show you. We just talked about how you could be issued a failing score with no credit, and we looked at an example where that's the case. Let me show you what happens when you take the initiative to add one account to your business credit reports. Here's the opposite of the effect. Here's somebody that has one account. We can see at the bottom here. Okay, first of all, this is interesting. You can see inquiries show up here on a credit report. We don't know who pulled them, but we see how many are there. They don't affect your score, but I just wanted to show you that. They have one account on the business credit report. This is more than likely a Uline account. Second interesting thing by looking at the reports that you should know, credit reports don't show the credit issuer's name. They show the industry the credit issuer is from. This is packaging, is the industry, probably Uline. Here's what's crazy though. This person has a 96 score, almost as high as you can get, with only one account on their business credit reports, and their financial stability score went from high risk to middle of the road. Matter of fact, you can see it right here. You can see that they had that same 28 failing score shot up into the 90s just because they added one account to their business credit reports. So it only takes one account to get added within about 30 to 90 days to take a failing score to a great score, or no score to an established score. So that's the good news. Bad news, you can get issued failing score if you have no credit. Good news, easy to fix if we know how to, okay? So those are the things you need to know about Experian. One more thing I'm going to include, when you set up an initial credit profile with Experian, they will establish what's called a BIN number, a business identification number. That's like Dun & Bradstreet has a DUNS number. The BIN number is Experian's identification number. So if you're going to build credit with Experian, you're going to be exposed to BIN. You're going to see BIN on your credit reports. Now you know what it is, how it works. Let's talk about D&B. Okay, so D&B gets business, and all of these guys get information from a lot of places. Utility companies, landlords, companies that they work with that report to them, insurance benefit providers, lenders, suppliers, credit issuers, big banks. D&B even gets your information from the yellow pages, from your website, from online crawlers. It comes from like all kinds of crazy places. So it's easy and free to, again, see if you have reports set up with D&B. I showed you how this works with Experian. You do exactly the same thing with D&B. You go to creditsuite.com/reports. You click on D&B. You do that free and search. You can go to dnb.com to do the search as well and mess around and try to find the exact link. The exact link is longer, which is why I just put a shortcut for you at creditsuite.com/reports. Just simplified it for you. Guess what? Same thing as Experian. If you pull up an actual record, then you want to go ahead and get credit monitoring. You might as well as get credit monitoring just to see what's going on with your reports and scores with D&B if something pulls up. So I got a couple questions here. Let me see. Jean Pierre says, I have a 62 out of 100 with 2 trade lines reporting with Experian because they have the wrong NAICS and SIC codes. How can I ensure Experian gets the right codes? You dispute it with Experian. And Jean Pierre brings up a really good point. There we go. We're off on the tangent, but it makes sense for you guys to actually see this. First of all, you need to determine what your own NAICS code is, and I'm going to show you why. So if I go to NAICS code and just type it into Google, I find NAICS.com. I like this place. I think it's super easy to find NAICS codes. Let me explain to you what happens here. And again, I think that Jean Pierre brought up a really good point and a pitfall that you all can run into. So I'm going to go ahead and show you something right now that's a tip that helps you avoid this pitfall. And I'm even going to show you login.com. I'm even going to come in and I'm going to show you actual commercial credit reports to show you the problem Jean Pierre is talking about, because you all have this problem. You don't know you do. So first of all, what is your NAICS code? Do you know what your own NAICS code is? Okay, that's the first question I have for you is, do you actually know what your own NAICS code is? Let me explain what happens. People say they go to apply for a loan or credit card and they say, I am in the software industry. And so they say, okay, you're in the software industry, right? They ask what industry you're in, and you say, I'm in software. Well, here's the problem. There are 10 subsections of software. Okay, this is 7 of them, but there's actually 10. Let me see. Actually, that didn't even pull up software. You didn't even pull up the right one. That's even worse. Let's go to software up here and see if that works. So there are 10 subcategories for software. There are my 10. So here's the problem. If you go to apply for a loan, they ask your industry, you put software. You are leaving it to the lender or credit issuer to determine which of these 10 you actually are, because there's 10 different subsections of software in the NAICS section. I'm using software as an example. I don't care if you're a trucker. It's the same way. There's a lot of subsections to every industry that you may think you are. So when you apply for a loan and you say you're software, then what happens is oftentimes they'll come in and they'll assign you one of these 10 because they don't know exactly what NAICS code you are. You're leaving them to guess because you didn't tell them the exact NAICS code. You can see here that we are a software publisher. So when somebody asks our industry, I say we are software publishers, then I put italics NAICS 511210. Almost none of you do this. Probably nobody does. And if you are doing it, it's because you got a tip from me on doing it. So here's the actual problem. If you put software, they choose an NAICS code, and then here's what happens. When we go to your business credit reports, we see this. We see all these different NAICS and SIC codes because you're letting lenders and credit issuers choose the one for you. So because of that, they're putting you in different NAICS codes. And as Jean Pierre just said, a real problem, now his score's low because they have him in the wrong NAICS code. So how do you fix it? You dispute it directly with the credit bureau that has it wrong. How do you avoid it? You do exactly what I just told you. You've got to come in. You've got to find out what NAICS code you are. Then when you apply for anything that asks your industry, you put the exact wording from here, you put the exact code, and you stop letting them guess and stop this problem with multiple NAICS codes and stop Jean Pierre's problem, which is that now he's being deemed as high risk when he's not high risk, okay? So that's how this whole system works. You've got to make sure that you have the right NAICS code, and you have to choose it. If not, lenders are going to choose it, and guess what lenders are going to do? They're automatically going to choose the high-risk code because it means they charge you more money. They have no incentive for manually choosing a low-risk code for you when this happens. So this is something to keep out for. It's a very long, elaborate answer to Jean Pierre's problem, but a lot of you are going to face this problem if you don't actually correct that. Skip says, I heard DMV pulls a Google Earth shot of your business address. They absolutely do, Skip. In a lot of cases, you can pull your DMV report and see an actual image of your business. So if you don't want your house on your commercial credit reports, you might want to avoid home addresses. So let's talk about DMV disputes. You can get set up with creditsuite.com/monitoring to monitor your DMV. No need to do this. If you do that, creditsuite.com/report search and nothing pulls up. But if something pulls up, get monitoring. $24 is the cheapest you're going to get. And that'll actually get you access to your DMV reports. You can go to businesscredit.dmv.com/business-reports as well. It's $150 a month with DMV to do it. So like I said, it's $250 for all three, or you can get it for $24 at creditsuite.com/monitoring. You got to get your DUNS number set up with DMV. Well, let's go back. Well, let's go forward. Okay, so the DUNS number is established in DMV's database for every unique, separate, and distinct operation for the purpose of a location. So what it means is this. If you change your address, you need to actually get with DMV and you need to tell them your address actually changed. Now, warning, DMV will call you and use any change on your credit profile, including an address change, to try to sell you crap you do not need. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. You never need to answer the phone. You never need to call back. They called me the other day, okay? I don't know if I can pull up the transcript here. I'll show you. They literally just called me yesterday, and they did exactly the same thing, okay? There we go. And I don't know if you can see that. Hey, this is up. Wait, that might be wrong. Okay. No, I can't pull it up. DMV call and let me a message. I say your address changed. Give us a call. You know what they're trying to do? Sell me crap I don't need. Anytime DMV calls you and emails you, I promise you, and I don't make a lot of promises, I promise you, they are trying to sell you crap you don't need. They don't even bother calling them back. But you need to know that they will set up a second credit profile for you if they think that your business is two businesses, which they will do if you have a new location. So if you change addresses, you need to update your DMV credit profile. I'll show you how in a second for free. If you don't, they'll create multiple credit profiles for you. Now, they're going to give you a DUNS number. This is their 9-digit number issued by DMV. It's used all over the world. If you want to be a contractor for the government, you need your DUNS number. If you want to be a contractor for the Australian government, you need your DUNS number. Okay, it's used by the UN. It's used by all kinds of organizations and countries around the globe. The DUNS number is just a way worldwide to identify your business, kind of like your EIN is the way a business is identified in the United States. Now, very important here. DMV needs two things to create a credit score for you, and their credit score is known as the PAYDEX score. They need the first thing is 3 accounts reporting to them. Wait a minute. Way different than Experian. Experian needs 0 accounts to create a credit profile. DMV needs 3 and your DUNS number. If you do not have both, they will not issue a credit report for you. There's nothing to pull up. So I get this question all the time. Hey, I built credit with DMV and they're not creating a credit report for me. It's because you have to have 3 accounts reporting to DMV and your DUNS. If you have both, your credit report will be created. If you have neither or one of the two, they will not create a credit report for you, just so you know what's going on. And Dead Broke says, hey, Ty, what's going on? Hey, man, thanks. Welcome for coming in. Thanks for coming in. Tracking the Market says, great advice. You must choose your own code. Yes. And Tracking the Market says, my business sells new and used computers. My NAICS is 443142, includes DVDs and VHS tapes. Very frustrating. Yeah. I do not want to be in the same category as people selling VHS tapes. It's not good. But again, NAICS codes, guys, we used to have SIC codes. Then the government wanted more industry designations because, like, the world's changed, right? Like, we have online and the internet and all the stuff we didn't have when SICs were created. So they created 16 overwhelming categories and then created subcategories into them. So you're tracking the market. Your frustration is is noted and welcomed, because a lot of us are the same way. We're put into other categories with other industries we shouldn't be, because of the way that these categories are set up and that there's not a lot of them. So you can search for your DUNS number at creditsuite.com/reports, or go to dnb.com/free-DUNS number and get your DUNS number. It's 100% free. It's 1 to 2 weeks if you're a government contractor. It's 30 days if not. If you do get with them, they're going to try to sell you stuff that you don't need. It's called Credit Builder. Okay, so let's talk about Credit Builder, because it's something that you really should know about. So DNB's Credit Builder is a way that you could take existing accounts you already have and you can add them to your Dun & Bradstreet credit report. That sounds good to me. Here's the problem. Here's why I don't like it. Most accounts you and I have, we can't add. I cannot add any utility to DNB credit report. You can't add your electric, you can't add your water, you can't add your phone. You can't add any credit cards or any bank credit. No loans, no credit cards can be added, no utilities, no rent, no lease payments, no any other kind of account they don't want to add. So if you and I think about what we pay monthly, rent, utilities, we can't add any of that stuff. There's very few accounts you can add to DNB's Credit Builder. And if you try to add an account, they verify with the credit issuer. If the credit issuer doesn't answer the phone when they call, then you got to go through a whole other process to get them to recall. So DNB's Credit Builder is a freaking nightmare to actually add accounts to it. And that's what I've heard from everyone. It's why they have so many class action lawsuits against them for that reason. So you need to keep in mind, you don't need this. If you use vendors, if you use Credit Line Hybrid, you can get real credit with real stores that will give you real products and services that you use your real credit to buy and then build your credit. Like, why would you want to take stuff you already have and add it to your credit profile when you could get real usable credit and then use the credit and then actually build it that way? So whether you want DNB Credit Builder or not, that's up to you. I don't like that you can't add bank credit, can't add credit cards, can't add leases, can't add rent, can't add cell phone, electric, utility, none of that. I just don't think there's many things left to add. And I don't like the process and the time it takes to get this done. I found vendors as a serious shortcut, so something to consider in there. So DNB also has iUpdate. iUpdate is how you update information with DNB. If you search DNB iUpdate, you'll find how you can update your information with DNB at absolutely no cost. Let's talk about Equifax. Most credit issuers, trade vendors use DNB, Experian, not Equifax, because, again, they have hard trades on Equifax are hard to get. Bottom line, a lot of people don't report to Equifax. So if you get credit that reports to Equifax, you need to get it, because it's important to build your credit profile with Equifax, and here's why. A lot of lenders use them. Banks like Equifax. So if you're going to go get bank loans, Equifax, building a credit profile with Equifax is super important, okay? And it's really aggressively used in your FICO SBSS score. FICO has a small business score known as SBSS. This is a mandatory score to get an SBA loan. Well, not to get PPP, but like a regular SBA loan. So you need to have a high enough Equifax score to have a high enough FICO score to even get SBA loans. Bottom line, if you want a credit card, if you want a loan from a bank, you really need to be focused on this, because a lot of bankers are using Equifax. Okay, it's important that you grow your Equifax profile. Now, I don't have a free search for you on Equifax. Here's why. I don't know why. They just stopped offering credit monitoring. They just stopped it. You used to be able to do a free search with them and then get your reports and pay for it. But then they stopped temporarily offering business credit reports. I have no idea why. But if you go to creditsuite.com/monitoring, you can still get your Equifax reports through our nav integration, but you can't do that search with them anymore because they're not doing credit monitoring. So again, if you go to creditsuite.com/monitoring and you see accounts on there, then you can go ahead, dispute anything that's inaccurate, make sure that it is accurate, et cetera, with Equifax. I used to have a shortcut there, but I don't have one since they stopped offering credit monitoring. Okay, and Karen says, do you have a video for small business financial exchange? I don't know. We've got businesses. I've got videos where I cover it, yes. If you go to youtube.com/credit suite or facebook.com/credit suite and search on our videos SBFE or Small Business Financial Exchange, you can find my training there. If you don't know what SBFE is, for everybody, you should know. SBFE is a third-party data aggregator owned by its members. Its members are banks. All banks openly share all of your information. Everything you put on an application, how you perform on loans, it's all openly shared. If you get an application with Bank of America and fill it out for a business credit card, whoop, goes into SBFE, whoop, is picked up by Wells Fargo. Every bank sees what you put on an application with every other bank. They also see how you perform on every loan and credit card. They openly share this information. And it's a give to get. You either have to, if you want to be a member, you have to give all of your customers' information to get all of the customers' information from other lenders. Okay, so banks openly share your information. Then there are what are called vendors. Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, Experian, and LexisNexis are 4 vendors, which are the only vendors that can take SBFE information and make it public facing. So some of the stuff you see on your credit report comes from the big banks indirectly from SBFE, but a lot of stuff is shared between these banks you don't even know about. So you want to check out that training on SBFE. So let's recap this thing. Recession means loans are harder to come by, right? Business credit, still easier to get even when the economy's slow. Okay, proper CRA setup means more and better chances for success. And you've got to be able to set up these credit profiles because it's the first step of building business credit. Use BizVerify to see what's going on with Experian. Check iUpdate with Dun & Bradstreet to update information with them for free. Few trades report to Equifax, so when you can get credit with them, get it. Go to creditsuite.com/reports to do free searches with D&B Experian and creditsuite.com/monitoring to get your business credit reports. Okay, if you want more information on these guys, just go to youtube.com/creditsuite and search whatever you want. I've got whole presentations on just Experian, just Equifax, just D&B. I have presentations on their entire history of their company. I have presentations on their credit scores, how they work, and we'll be giving updated information as well. Just last week, we dove into Equifax's 5 scores, so keep an eye on that. If more information, if you'd like, on building your business credit, creditsuite.com/live-checklist. Did you get value here? I tried to give you as much as I can. If you did, like this video, love the video, share it, help me, please. That's all I ask. Even subscribe and we'll notify you when we go live. We go live Tuesday and Thursday at 1, 11 o'clock on Wednesday, all Eastern time. And if you like this, then not only tune in on our other live streams, but we go live on Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube on those times. We also have daily tips on Twitter and Instagram and a podcast with like 350,000 downloads. So it's very popular and you can listen to it on iTunes, but you can get to it by our website, creditsuite.com. Top right are all of our social links. So I want to go ahead and do any more questions I want to answer. Leon says, iUpdate is no longer active. iUpdate is and should be active. I will check into it when this is done. But iUpdate is and always has been D&B's main way of updating information about the actual credit report. So if you search D&B iUpdate, that'll actually take you to a point where you can get their information. But I will look into any changes with iUpdate that I might not even be aware of. But again, if you want to update your credit reports with the reporting agencies, you need to go to your credit monitoring with Experian or D&B, or go to iUpdate as well with Dun & Bradstreet, or you can do it right through your credit monitoring with Dun & Bradstreet as well. So hopefully that helps you there. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. If you have any other questions, let us know. 877-600-2487. On our consultation, we'll do a free business credit search for you to see if you're set up now. We'll get you your credit reports for free with all 3 reporting agencies as well. Tell you all the credit you can qualify for now. Talk to you about all the financing you can qualify for now, and do a free funding assessment for you, fundability, to see how your business is set up and see if there's any credibility issues there as well. Okay, and is Quill still reporting, Karen? Yes, they are, but they are now requiring you have initial trade lines set up in order to get approved with them. So through this recession, Quill's really pulled back a lot, but you can still get approved. You just need some initial trade lines reporting. So I'm going to wrap this up. If you have any questions, give us a ring at 877-600-2487, 877-600-2487, and I will see you tomorrow and Thursday. Tomorrow, Wednesday at 11. 1 o'clock on Thursday, we'll be diving into many cool things, including business credit benefits, and we're going to be diving into shelf corps, shelf corporations, CPN numbers, buying trade lines, all this crazy stuff that people do to try to shortcut business credit building. And I'm going to give you what the bureaus say, the FBI, the FTC. We're going to dive into all that. I think that's tomorrow. So I look forward to seeing you then. Thanks for tuning in. Give us a call if we can help you build business credit and get financing for your business. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.